like at first I didn't have any gratitude for a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I said, I just chalked everything up to the game like it was supposed to happen regardless. I was very, very into myself, so to speak. And when that injury happened, it made me realize just how quick everything could go. And also around that same time, I lost one of my best friends, one of my fraternity brothers, Jack Mione. He passed away trying to save somebody else's life on a trip that they were on. You know what I mean? So with all this going on, I just realized that I needed to have more gratitude for a lot of stuff and realize how much of a privilege and how we just steward the situations that we were in, because they could easily be taken away from us. And with that mindset, I realized there's a lot of people out there that wish they could be business owners and not work for corporate gyms, but work for themselves. That way they don't have the glass ceiling of pay. There's many people that wish they could be professional wrestlers and never, would have the opportunity to possibly be a physical element, or just don't know how because it's not in their area, or whatever the variable may be. And I started taking literally all that, literally just being able to see, being able to hear, being able to speak. There's people out there that can do those things. And when that injury happened, that's when all that kind of stuff was magnified to be like, yo, this is a privilege to be able to do and have all these things. So make sure you remember that, because there's many people that wish they could be, pray that they could be, hope that they could be in one of your situations that will never have the opportunity to be for whatever reason. And I just hold the weight of that on my back in a backpack, always with me every single day. That way, whenever it's my time to go, nobody will ever be able to say that they didn't see me give my 100% all to any situation that I was a part of.
How's everybody doing? Here with you guys for another episode of the Community and Conversions Show. And this is going to be a really fun one. Very, very inspiring guest. I heard his story at an event I was at a couple months ago, and I was like, dude, I got to share this story out. More people need to hear this. More people need to adapt this mindset. And I think I remember I asked you afterwards something about like staying consistent. Of the world is trying to get at you and pull you away and be the distraction, and how do you power through that to stay consistent? Because in your talk I remember you saying something about like never skipping a workout, never skipping your routines, right, and all that. I was like, man, this guy's freaking Superman. How does he do it? So you guys are in for a treat watching today, and it's gonna be a great episode. So the title of this one is How to Overcome a Victim Mindset. Tune in for one of the most inspiring stories from a guy with a rock solid mindset who also does professional wrestling, super badass, and owns a fitness coaching business. So Dontae, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me on, man. I love that we keep giving each other these platforms to just share stories and, try to give people just a different perspective, man. That's what we're here for. It's all about changing perspective, changing mindset stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny, kind of like what I mentioned to you before we hopped on. This is a community and convergence show. A lot of people look to me for, marketing and Facebook groups, right, and all these things. And then 9 times out of 10, we hop on and really help them get their mind right to succeed. So
right.
I know you're going to be a perfect person for that. So I'd love to dig in a little bit of your story for people who don't know you yet. You want to just share a little bit of your background?
Yeah, no doubt. So pretty much, my life story is relatively all over the place. I mean, separated family household from a young age. I moved with my dad when I was about 13 years old. And when I moved with him, he moved me straight out of Dallas, Texas, into the suburbs, because I was getting in a lot of trouble living in Dallas, just kind of product of my environment, just who I was hanging out with. I've always had a very addictive personality at one point in time for a lot of the wrong reasons. Now it's a bit more beneficial that I've learned how to control all that kind of stuff. But and so he needed to move me out of there, and he did. And that's where I went to the Colony, Texas, and ended up getting my grades right, acting right, never got in a fight again after moving out there. Ended up getting an academic scholarship to the University of North Texas. I was a basketball player, but I was very, very, I was very just worn out from it, man. I didn't really want to remotely try to play anymore, going into college or anything like that. I was just burned out. So I took the academic scholarship to UNT, lost that first semester joining a fraternity and having a little bit of too much fun.
Yep.
But but second semester of that year, man, I met my wife. Honestly, my freshman year, we've been together ever since. So we've been together 13 years now, because that would have been in February of 2008 that we met each other.
Congrats.
Thank you. And you know, she's a major defining moment in my life, meeting her, because when I met her, she was like, "Yeah, you're gonna go to class. We're gonna take some of the same classes. You're gonna study with me." Just kind of like laid down that law for the future. You know what I mean? Which was great. Then I got into the music business. I was heavy into the rap scene back early, even before that. Like I started in high school, but once I got into college, now I have, you know, 50,000+ people at my disposal on any given day to promote this stuff and throw shows or whatever. And everything blew up from there, man. Like I got deep into the rap scene with opening for people. I did South by Southwest for multiple years. I was taking trips out to LA to meet with WME, which is William Morris Endeavor, which is one of the biggest talent agencies in the world, not just the US, but the whole world, because they have places in other countries also. And that's kind of where my downfall started a lot, was the deeper I got into the game, the more I kind of like lived the gimmick of what I felt the rapper should be, which comes with buying unnecessary things, from clothes to jewelry to drugs, and getting involved in that kind of stuff, and then letting all that relatively succumb me. And then in 2014, while I was still doing music, a lot of bad stuff kind of like started happening around me. Like I could just, it wasn't necessarily just to me per se, but I could feel it just like closing in little by little from the alignments that I have in the business and things that were going on in their life. And that was also around the same time that I found professional wrestling. So I've been wrestling for about 7 years now. And so I quit the music scene, man. I can feel all that stuff happening. And so I just left completely cold turkey, did my last little Texas tour with a guy named Roosh Williams, where we went to like 5 different cities over like a week or two span. And then that was it for me. I stuck with wrestling after that. And everything was good. So I was wrestling, I was training at a big spot out here. And then I dislocated my foot about 2 years after this. In November of 2016, I suffered a subtalar joint foot dislocation that caused a lot of my depression. So I had gotten off of a lot of the extracurricular, so to speak, things that I was doing in the music business. But when I dislocated my foot, the first thing that the surgeons and I didn't have surgeon, but the orthopedic surgeon that adjusted my foot back into place, the first thing they do is prescribe you pain pills. And I tried to avoid taking them because I knew my history with taking them for party purposes, and kind of that was one of the things that I was addicted to, was taking pain pills literally just for fun, to you take quite a few of them to get high for a moment or whatever it may be. And then so like I started getting back into that with those pills from taking them from the injury, and I got real depressed during that time because I was feeling like all my identity was wrapped up in who I was as a wrestler and who I was as a trainer, and not who I was to me, to others, and who Dontae Smiley really was, not Primetime or the personal trainer Dontae Smiley, but me, you know, and the guy's name. And so I got real depressed, man, because I didn't have those coats anymore. And that's what my identity was wrapped up in. And I started having suicidal thoughts. And I remember wanting to commit suicide, and just looking up and pretty much putting out a last like pleading prayer. And I was like, if there is a God out there, I need you to show me right now. And then I remember feeling this most calming, calm feeling come over my body in that moment. The moment I said that, just felt the most peaceful thing come over my body. So I obviously didn't do it because I'm still here today. But when my wife got home, I told her where I was at mentally. You know, she knew I was having some depression, but I wasn't fully honest with her about how bad it was at that time. So I explained to her what was going on. And she was like, well, you know, I've tried to help you. You know, other people have tried to help you. She was like, what are you going to do to help yourself? Pretty much, you know, she was like, look yourself in the mirror and see what the hell you need to do. And, you know, I was looking in my wallet later that day, and I had an invite card to Elevate Life Church, which, you know, a lot of you, the Apex alignments here in the DFW area, a lot of us go to Elevate Life Church now. And so I had the invite card to Elevate Life Church. So I was like, maybe we should go here to, you know, to see what it's about. Maybe this is what I'm missing, because everything was going well. I I didn't believe in God before this moment or anything like that. You know what I mean? I was raised in church as a kid, you know, a knee-high kid. But as I got older, it never went again. I was content with everything. I was one of the top trainers in Texas as a UBF personal trainer, burning 250 sessions a month. Wrestling was going well. When my dislocation happened, I had 3 titles for different promotions at that time. But that's exactly when all of it was taken away in an instance. You know what I mean? There was nothing that I had gratitude for. You know what I mean? There was nothing I was really gracious for in any of the moments. I was chalking it up to the game because it was supposed to happen regardless. You know what I mean? In my eyes. And that wasn't the case, man. And you know, in that moment, like I say, when I was having those thoughts and put out that prayer, if there is a God, I need you to show me right now. That's when everything changed. We went to church that following Sunday. I got saved on that exact same day. Haven't looked back since. And it's not that anything has been easy or perfect. Quite frankly, most stuff gets harder after that because now you're intentionally trying to live a certain way and elevate your thinking and elevate your mind so you can elevate your life. Which isn't an easy thing to do, especially with how long I was doing some of that stuff. Even still today, now I've only been saved for 4 years. You know what I mean? So still the greater part of my life that I've had was in the element of what I was doing when I was rapping and things like that. And so I have to be very cognizant of that and make sure I remember all that kind of stuff. That way I never forget where I come from to have the situation of me falling back into anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not one of them people that likes to forget where I came from. I don't like forgetting the past and the bad things that I went through because I believe it just kind of, it is what it is. Some of it was controllable. Some of it was uncontrollable. But at the end of the day, I learned a lesson from all of it, from the good stuff to the bad stuff. I've learned a lesson. I've grown through what I went through. I've had breakthrough now. And it's like I say, it's a day-to-day thing. And, you know, we're on the up and up still, try to just become the most elite version of myself daily.
100%. And I think one thing that really stood out to me about what you said there was how, you know, it's not like it all gets easier, it actually gets harder. And why that stood out to me was, you know, when we're making these decisions to level up, it's not that, oh, now that I'm making this move, life is good. It's I'm becoming a bigger person, a stronger person to be able to deal with these new challenges. And that's like the critical evolution that all of us go through as leaders. It's like, okay, I know things aren't going to get easier. I'm actually going to be taking on more responsibility, you know? Like I got to step my game up to follow through on these big visions. And I don't know about you, but that inspires the shit out of me. I'm like, woo, okay, like time to step up. Let's make this happen. So when you made that move, and you really started living that, like, okay, what am I going to create now? How did you make sure that, you know, everybody has fears and doubts no matter what, but how did you make sure that didn't slow you down and keep you in that old victim mindset?
Because after the injury, one of the greatest, like I said, at first I didn't have any gratitude for a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Like I said, I just chalked everything up to the game like it was supposed to happen regardless. I was very, very into myself, so to speak. And when that injury happened, it made me realize just how quick everything could go. And also around that same time, I lost one of my best friends, one of my fraternity brothers, Jack Mione. He passed away trying to save somebody else's life on a trip that they were on, you know what I mean? So with all this going on, I just realized that I needed to have more gratitude for a lot of stuff and realize how much of a privilege and how we just steward the situations that we were in because they could easily be taken away from us. And with that mindset, I realized there's a lot of people out there that wish they could be business owners and not work for corporate gyms, but work for themselves. That way they don't have the glass ceiling of pay. There's many people that wish they could be professional wrestlers and never, you know, would have the opportunity to possibly be a physical element or just don't know how because it's not in their area, whatever the variable may be. And I started taking literally all that, literally just being able to see, being able to hear, being able to speak. There's people out there that can do those things. And when that injury happened, that's when all that kind of stuff was magnified to be like, yo, this is a privilege to be able to do and have all these things. So make sure you remember that because there's many people that wish they could be, pray that they could be, hope that they could be in one of your situations that will never have the opportunity to be for whatever reason. And I just hold the weight of that on my back and in a backpack always with me every single day. That way, whenever it's my time to go, nobody will ever be able to say that they didn't see me give my 100% all to any situation that I was a part of. If I'm a part of any situation, regardless of what it is, like you say, with it training, with it wrestling, with coaching, anything and everything, being a dad, being a husband, being a good friend, they will never be able to say that I didn't work hard at what I did, didn't give my 100%, and wasn't trying to be my best me that way for myself, and to be able to give my best me to them in every situation. Because if I'm not at my best for me, there's no way I could give my best for somebody else. If I don't love myself, then it's hard to love other people. And, you know, on down the cycle it goes. And so I just had that in my mind, man. So at that point, it became easy, right? You know, not easy, but it's the hard that I chose more so, rather than choosing the hard of not doing it. I chose the hard of doing that kind of stuff because it was more beneficial for everybody around me.
Yeah, love that. And I think you brought up something there that is super important that not people don't always talk about, is that shift you made of, and kind of like the prompt from your wife around, what are you going to do for you?
Right.
And in line with that, you know, if you don't love and care for yourself first, you can't do it for others. And a lot of times people get so caught up in that of all the outside pressures that they just get super depleted and can't be that 100%. So how did you kind of make that, you know, big, first up, it's awareness shift, and then move more into living that on the day to day?
Honestly, it was the alignment circle, man. More than anything, I started surrounding myself with people that were thinking at that level on a regular basis at the time that I met them. Because I had to let a lot of friends go, and not go like I'm never friends with them or don't talk to them, but we just couldn't chill how we were chilling before with where I was trying to go if they weren't trying to go that way and level up also. You know, if they're trying to level up, let's do this together. You know what I mean? But if they're not and they want to stay content and complacent in the area that they're in, there's nothing I could do about that. But also knowing that I can't, be it friends, family of choice, I can't let them hold me back if they don't want to get out of their situation when I'm trying to go a whole nother direction. And that was one of the major things, was realizing that. And as hard as it was to not hang out with some of these people on a regular basis and do life with them like I was doing before, or let them be a part of my life like I was before, it was a decision that had to be made. And I just surrounded myself with just a whole different alignment circle of people that once again poured into me as I poured into others to help elevate me and challenge me, is what a lot of it was. That alignment circle that was already to where I wanted to go to started challenging me. And so that was a big thing. Like, I met Ryan Stewman about 2.5 years ago, and he invited me to his 2018 mastermind. That was like that fall, the $1 million mastermind. And just being there with those type of people and being in alignment with him and seeing how these people think and just how they function, I was like, this is what I want. And at that time, I had some of that around me, because like I said, I was aligned with him. I was aligned with Mark Zalmanoff, my trainer, Eric Rona. And those were people that were thinking like that, but I only had those three. But now I've had 100 plus 500, whatever, you know, was there at that time at my disposal to talk to and get aligned with, and then put myself in vulnerable situations with knowing, all right, these are the type of people I want to be around. Where else are they at for me to make myself vulnerable and put myself in position to be challenged? Because I don't look at challenging as an offense. Like, a lot of people will have that victim mindset when somebody challenges them to be better and do better for themselves, they take offense, because it takes us pointing out those blind spots that they might not see about themselves, for them to be able to elevate. And then once those blind spots are pointed out, either by us or by themselves, it's up to them to make that decision to react on it or not. And that's where the leveling up comes from. Is either people going to react to those blind spots being pointed out and being challenged, because people don't realize that most of the time when they're challenged, it's about people that love them and want them to do better. They care about them and want them to, you know, elevate their life. And so it's never coming from a sour place at all. You know what I mean? They may want it to be, but that's not the case, or else we wouldn't be doing it. And so it takes them realizing that it's coming from a good place and making a decision to either elevate and do better by the blind spots that are pointed out that they need to correct and change about themselves, or not. And some people answer that call and some people don't.
Yep. 100%. And I love that distinction of, you know, how do you react to that that challenge,
Right.
that, loving criticism.
Right.
And that's the biggest way to be able to walk into rooms like that and be like, hey, I know some stuff, but I do not know a lot of this. Like,
Right.
what you guys got? Like, how can we help each other out? And just being open like that. And, in Stuman's group too, I'm the same way. Like, I'm really good in a few areas. And then there's so many people in there that just constantly blow my mind with what's common knowledge for them.
Right.
And I love being able to, help those people with what I do, and they get to share what they do best. So that's awesome. So being challenged by the circle is absolutely critical. And, making
Yep.
those tough decisions of having to leave some of those friendships behind. And I think that's really one of the most, loving things you can do for yourself,
Right.
is say, that's not where I'm going. I got to make some tough calls, but this is the path I'm on. And that's one analogy I always try and share with clients or friends when they're dealing with something where they're not sure if they want to do something or be something, is I try and remind them, like, when you have clarity on your direction, you're like a train. You don't just stop the train and turn around. The train is moving. People
Right.
can hop on the train, help it accelerate. If you make a decision to go off the tracks, that's on you, but you're moving forward.
Right.
So that's super powerful. Love it, man. So what do you think was like the biggest thing that you're still working on and evolving at right now?
I would say the biggest thing is just, I mean, more than anything, just like I say, fighting the force of average, because now I'm at the point where I'm doing so much. I have everything calendared, scheduled off, like everything. So now that I'm farther from where I was back then, just making sure I stay that course and understand that there's going to be a disturbance, right? I have this quote that I say that at every new level, there's a new devil. Every time God is getting ready to promote us or does promote us into a new situation, there's going to be turbulence on that ride. There's always going to be something that comes in, like we know, as a force of average. And it's just staying on track with all my stuff and being very intentional day to day with every single thing that I do. More than anything, my calendar, more than anything, has completely kept me on track. The moment I literally put everything from client sessions to downtime to read here, to my workout time, to I'm going to eat lunch here, to my other clients, to my dinner time here, to wrestling training, and so on and so forth, where hour for hour is in there, it keeps me on track. Because like I say, I know I'm a person that has a very addictive mindset. You know what I mean? For now, it's for the right things. In the past, it's for the wrong things. And so the busier that I can stay, the more on track I can stay, the more blessed I can stay, the better for me it is. When I have too much downtime, that's when my brain has too much time to think and will go this way and go that way. And I start second guessing things. And I'm like, maybe this isn't a good decision for me to go this direction in my business. Maybe it's not a good decision for me to start the book, even though Drewby said there's no reason not to start it because there's never a right time to start it. Maybe, so on and so forth. And that's where all that cycle of stuff gets going in my head, is when I'm just kind of like sitting there. It's like, well, that canceled. Like, what am I gonna do now with the next, 2 hours that I have or whatever else? But luckily now I have, I have my podcast and stuff. I've been doing a lot of other podcasts with other people. So I use all that downtime to stay on that, watch different videos from different people within our alignment circle to grow from them. And also the reason I don't look for a lot of stuff outside of the alignment circle personally, when it comes to the business tactics or mindset things that I listen to, is because anybody and everybody that has something to say in Apex, I trust, because I've seen it on the small scale, I've seen it on the big scale. So I trust everybody to know that it's coming from a right spot, because I know where the main source is, who created all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? For what Apex is and what it's about. And so it's just keeping me on track, man. I just stay on that calendar. I stay working as much as possible, because once again, I realize I'm a steward of all the situations that I'm in, and realize how blessed I am to be in the positions that I'm in now. And I just stay grateful of that, because I fully understand there's a lot of people out there that wish they were in the position that I'm in, and they're not at this time, or, maybe they can be one day, obviously, if they want to make that mindset change or whatever the situation is. And I just take that to heart, man, and just make sure I live right by that and do right by that.
Yeah, love it. Some great stuff in here so far. So as we get closer to wrapping up, I always try and figure out, like, what's what's one unique thing you do in business that's something that people can take and go run with today, whether that's marketing, operation, anything that you feel like is something that you do uniquely for most people?
I think more than anything, especially when it comes to my training, because wrestling is what it is. But when it comes to my training business, the one thing I do is give more to the situation than what I'm paid for. So I go over and above with all my clients, and I give more than what I'm paid for always. But in turn, also, I think that's why I've had clients that have been with me 6 years. So I've got a couple clients like that, clients that don't want to leave because they know, regardless of the variables that may happen, i.e. COVID last year, right? When all that happened, not one of my clients during that time, even with everything being closed down, not one of my clients stopped paying during that time because I was like, hey, we're in this together. So we're going to call this audible. So you got stuff at home or you don't. If you can invest in some stuff, cool. If you can't, I'll figure out body weight stuff for you to be able to do. And so I went over and above instantly in the situation the moment they said things were going to be locked down, where they never had the chance to even ask me, what are we going to do? What I'm supposed to do. I was already on top of it. The moment they said things were locked down, I messaged every single one of them. Was like, hey, don't sweat it. I know you have equipment. I know you have equipment. I know you have some equipment. Send me your list. I'll write you workouts for those lists every single day. I know you don't have equipment, so that's okay. We got outside to work with. We have our own body to be able to work with, so that's what we're going to work with. And I just made sure, like I said, to call that audible and make sure they know that it was about them first more than anything, and always is about them first. And I'm always going to give over and above of anything of what I'm paid to give, because I love people. I want them to stay around. So that customer service element, for them to know that I'm trying to sow these seeds into them, for them to be able to grow, because their results and their goals are still the results I want for them, and the goals I want them to have for them as well. And so that I never lost track of that. And I did everything that I could with the variables that we had to be able to work with to make sure I maintain my creed that I've laid out in my business, which was that, you know what I mean? Which was that, them first. What I have to do is easy. I've been a trainer for 7 years now, and 3.5 of it has been on my own as a trainer, as a private trainer, when I finally made that jump to work for myself with that. And that was the one thing I made sure that I was going to do, was always put them first, regardless of what's going on. Because at corporate gyms, working for LA Fitness, Texas Family Fitness, Lifetime, it's not about, I've worked for them. I know for a fact through my testimony and experiencing that it's not always clients first in those situations. You know what I mean? I know stuff comes up, so I'm able to work with my clients where they might not even want to, where they're like, you signed the contract, so it is what it is. Yeah, I have my clients sign contracts also, but me working for myself now, when things go awry, we adjust. I'm human and I understand this kind of stuff. Let's communicate with each other. Let's be there for each other. You work with me, I'll work with you, and it can all work. So once again, more than anything, give more to whatever situation it is in your business, to your clientele, than what you are paid to give.
100%. Love it. That's one of our core values too, is give value first. So you are on point. And I think one thing I picked up about that I thought was really cool, and I think everybody listening should take away, is how proactive that was. Like you said, before they even had the chance to hit me up and ask what's going on, I already had the game plan. And clients need that in two ways. One, to know that, hey, you're there, that you care, but also because if their experience is, especially at that time, everything was up in the air. It was confusing. Everything was uncertain. People losing jobs, people losing money in stocks, everything was hectic. So if they had to have a hectic thought of, I don't know what's going on with the gym, maybe I should cancel that. Are they closed? What's happening? They never had the chance to have that thought with you. They had that security. They had that consistency. So that proactiveness is what created that. And that's really cool. So I think that's a really great takeaway. And for everybody watching, super curious what some of your takeaways were from this episode so far. I got a bunch of notes on here on the video too. Some quotes, some notes, some insights. So guys, read up and love it, man. So if anybody wants to keep following you, I know you got the podcast. Where else should they get connected?
Yeah, so they can listen to the podcast, 13th Floor Mindset Podcast, on all podcast streaming platforms. You can find me on Facebook, Dontae Smiley. You can search the fitness business because I also do online training. So you can hit me up for which, and you'll find Primetime Fitness Training on there. And then my Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff is at Primetime Living. PrimeTimeliving.
Perfect. Love it, man. Got all those down in the comments. So anybody's curious about following up with him, definitely do so. Got some more stuff. If that story inspired you, guys, go check the podcast. There's plenty more where that came from. And yeah, I want to thank you so much. And everybody else out there watching, make sure you guys say thank you, because Dontae could be anywhere right now and he's here spending some time with us. So
I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
All right, for sure. Catch you guys next week on another episode of Community and Conversions Podcast. And enjoy, go out, step up, be leaders, take something from this interview and put it into action. All right, guys, till next week. See ya.